Right, hello everybody, Merry Christmas. My name is Adam Clery and I am really not well. Oh. But nonetheless, I'm here to talk to you today because the only thing sicker than me is Fulham's Antonee Robinson. And that's obviously sick in the sense of like the American term for being really good, not that he's like under the weather. I've got no idea if he is or not. He's the best left back in the league. Is the point I'm trying to make. This is not the non-drowsy version. Right, I'm just going to pull myself together. So Fulham have been loads of fun in the Premier League this year. They lost 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗍𝗓 in the summer transfer window, and people wondered, would this be a massive problem for them? But they are now one of the most well-organised and also fun-to-watch attack leagues in the teams in the league. Now, just before we start, two very quick things. First of all, this video is dedicated to our editor, James Andrew, who has been asking us for 2 years, can you please do a Fulham video? And I've always gone, no, nothing interesting to talk about there. And there you go. There is something interesting now. So that's for him. He hasn't died. It's not like in loving memory or anything, just he's been asking. And secondly, if you've already spotted the thing in the description, you've already sussed this, but it's our third HelloFresh sponsorship video. They've come back again because you guys are really good to them and they like the stuff we made. So there will be an advert for HelloFresh later in the video. And as ever, my promises to you, we don't endorse things that we don't actually like ourselves. We won't do it unless it's earnest. And two, we turned off most of the other adverts, so you're not going to be bombarded from all sides with product placements and stuff like that. And also, I try my best to make them entertaining to watch. So whatever happens, there's something funny coming for you in a couple of minutes. Now, it might seem weird to start a video about a left-back talking about a defensive midfielder, but 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗍𝗓𝗍's departure is actually what's brought Antonee Robinson to the forefront. And I'll try and explain very neatly for you. So last season, with 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗍𝗓, Spurs liked this 4-3-3 shape. You've got one of the best ball winners in all of European football right there. You can sort of take the weight of responsibility off a lot of other players and let them play. And as a coach, Marco Silva loves the concept of attacking rotations more than I am going to love all the long lie-ins I have over the next week. Basically, with the relative safety of an excellent sort of single pivot, what he wants his 5 attacking players to do is to basically get into these triangles in the attacking end of the pitch and then rotate around through there. It helps you create space, it helps you get into space, helps you evade markers, it helps you create chances. Now, obviously, it's not that Antonee Robinson simply didn't exist last season. He did, and he was still very good then, so they're quite happy for the fullbacks to push up and also get involved in these rotations as well. But that's kind of like a secondary option. They can provide an overlap when the opportunity's there, but they're not like the core thing making this attacking shape work. And they gave him a season that statistically looked like this. You can see he's one of the better attacking fullbacks in the league. He gets passes into the box, he gets crosses into the box, but he also clearly carries the ball really well. Like, look at these numbers, they're up there with some of the best players in the league. But this season, all of this has changed. So is he. So because 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗍𝗓𝗍 decided he would rather go and sit on Vincent Kompany's bench, that might be an unfair comment. I can't remember if he started getting games. He certainly wasn't at the start of the season. Fulham have now lost their sort of midfield anchor point, the thing that kept this whole attacking unit safe. So what he's gradually been forced to do instead is go to a double pivot of Lukic and Sander Berge. Berge? That's another one I can never get right. Sander Berge or Sander Berger. You know who I mean. Now, that's fine. That's perfectly functional. The pair of them have been a really solid sort of double pivot now for Fulham, as you've seen in like the Arsenal game and the Liverpool game. Teams don't just open them up for fun, but it does now leave them with a 4-2-3-1, so they're missing one of these attacking players. They've got 4 now instead of 5. And the primary solution that Marco Silva has had to this has been Antonee Robinson. Primarily, we see somebody on the left-hand side, quite often 𝗕𝗫𝗓𝗍𝗓𝗓, who is very happy to float into the middle. And you've got someone like Emile Smith-Rowe or Pereira there. There you go, the opposite side of the centre forward. And that leaves all this room for Antonee Robinson to get into this part of the pitch. So now their attacking 5 has him in it. And as a result, on a purely statistical basis, if you compare all his numbers from last season to this season, they are up in an attacking sense completely across the board. Now, there's 1 or 2 here where the percentile number is lower. That can trick your brain into thinking it. So if you look at the actual number of things per 90 minutes, they're all up. Like passes into the final third, that's kind of an example. The percentage points have dropped because other players are doing this a lot more, but his actual number per 90 minutes, as you can see, is going up. But the thing is, these are the underlying numbers, right? None of them are probably going to jump out at you as being this enormous, dramatic leap forward. So why then has he gone from being a solid assists provider down that side to the leading defender for assists in the Premier League this season? Like, literally, his output here has doubled, more than doubled. And that is because, and if you're a Fulham fan, this is not a revelation, you've seen this absolutely loads, his number of carries into the penalty area has, is that net trebled? More than trebled? He does that all the time now, where he was getting sort of a run into the box maybe once every 3 or 4 games last season. You will have seen that virtually every single attacking contribution he has made this season hasn't come from deep crosses in this area or doing little 1-2s into the box here. It's come specifically from this area of the pitch, which fullbacks almost never consistently get into. Now, it would be dead easy to use some examples from the Liverpool game as just sort of what he offers down that side. And don't you worry, we will be doing that. I simply adore a low-hanging fruit. But even in the Brighton game, where he got a completely different type of assist to this, he has to give it to 𝗕𝗓𝗧𝗏 and he jinks between a couple of people. He could have still had that exact same, gets on the overlap, gets into this area, puts a cross in, colleague gets a tap-in assist 3 or 4 times over. And it might sound like quite a small thing, like overlapping fullback gets into this area like big whoop, but I'll just show you as a comparison, right? This is Bournemouth's left back. 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔 has had a great season for Bournemouth, and they don't play massively differently. Obviously a little bit more front foot and like to press from the front a bit more than Fulham, but the style's not like radically different. And he gets up into these areas and he does get on the overlap, but just look how rare it is to get into this area by the touchline. How sort of like he's only got 2 or 3 little contributions into the box. Lucas Digne as well at Aston Villa, like just like 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗥𝗔, he's had a similar number of starts, similar number of minutes in a similar sort of ish system to what Fulham are playing, and he virtually never gets into this area, almost never gets into the box for little cutbacks and things like that. But this is Antonee Robinson this season. He's got almost as many ball touches and stuff in this half of the pitch as he does in his own defensive half, but just look at sort of how deep red those drives into these areas for cutbacks are. It's amazing. Now, yes, granted, okay, Liverpool did play the majority of the game against Fulham with only 10 men. That is a disadvantage. I will acknowledge that, but they did not remove a player from that side of the pitch. They sort of like made the centre a little bit more sparse. So Robinson had the same job and the same responsibilities and the same challenges in that game that he would have had even if they had 11 men. And this is his total pass map from that match. He got into this area, like the most opportune place for a fullback to create chances, just time and time and time and time again, and he got 2 assists just from that exact same thing. And the Liverpool game really is a good example to illustrate, because it's not just like you can tell a fullback to get into that area. There's a reason you don't see it very often. You have to unlock it with a level of athleticism that most players do not possess. So the first goal, case in point, 𝗏𝗓𝗏, I'm sure will agree, he's not the most defensively minded, but he's certainly no slouch. When the ball is turned over by Fulham, Robinson and Salah are right next to each other. And it's not me saying, oh, he doesn't track him, but look at the gap that Robinson manages to create to 𝗏𝗓𝗏 in the space of 2 seconds. Like, before that ball has even reached 𝗕𝗓𝗏𝗏, it's not even worth 𝗏𝗓𝗏 trying to track back. Liverpool just have to reorganise defensively. Except again, this is another major strength of Robinson's pace and his desire to get into those areas, he doesn't leave them time enough to do that. And we're literally talking 3 or 4 seconds here. Robinson's running has managed to turn this situation from Liverpool having possession down the left to Fulham now having a 2v1 on their own left in the final third. And Trent Alexander-Arnold actually does the right thing here. He realises there's going to be an overlap, so he doesn't get suckered in to trying to challenge Iwobi. He allows a teammate to come over from the centre to do that, and he starts to back away to make sure the space in behind isn't available for Robinson to run into. But there's simply nothing he can do about that, because Robinson is too quick into that area, and the system Fulham have, they know to find him. Iwobi doesn't dally on the ball, he doesn't hesitate. He gets it straight into that space because he knows where he's going. And then from there, and this is something I think does kind of get a little bit lost in the, oh, isn't he such an impressive runner and athlete comments, the delivery of this ball at pace is top tier.
So, huge news. I've just got my first job in actual football management. Now, yeah, haters will say that it doesn't count because it's just me playing as Newcastle on FC25 career mode, but answer me this. If it isn't real, then why am I crying actual tears when I can't give 𝗕𝗍𝗓𝗓 the game time he's after? And he sends me stuff like this. Heartbreaking. Anyway, while digital me eats exclusively at high-end bougie restaurants when he's finally selling the dream to 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏, actual me is so engrossed in it all that he occasionally forgets to get any food in. You know what that whole, Christmas to New Year time off gap is like, but thanks as ever to our great pals at HelloFresh, I need not suffer. HelloFresh is the meal kit subscription service that delivers pre-portioned, high-quality, fresh ingredients with step-by-step recipes and a frankly ludicrous choice of meals. It saves you time, it saves you money, it saves you waste, and because it's direct to your door, it's perfect for that whole I am not doing anything this week New Year vibe. As a total aside, they're also the reason I asked my mum for a new Teflon pan for Christmas because my current one absolutely ruined this superb sea bass and tarragon potatoes I was making for this video. Honestly, I can't even show you what it's done to the fish here, I'm too ashamed, but rest assured, it still tasted class, and look, yeah, I never normally mess that up, do I? If you're looking for an earnest endorsement, then these are all the recipe cards I've collected over the years for this. I am a freak, so we've got a belter little offer for fans of FourFourTwo, which is you, by the way. Use our code 4UNIQUE when you sign up and get 60% off your first box. That's loads, 20% off the next 2 months. That's loads, and free desserts for life, which is loads. Just go to hellofresh.com/4unique or use the QR code staring you in the face right now to get this frankly absurdly generous offer. But yes, anyway, if you'll excuse me now, I'm about to hit some fat rails with digital 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏, so toodles.
There is enough curl on it that Alisson believes, mistakenly, that he can potentially come out and get that, which completely destabilises his position, takes him off his line, forces it to fly over his head, but there's also enough pace and just directness on the delivery that it lands on Pereira's foot. Now, it's an absolute fantastic finish, do not get me wrong, but the delivery on that takes not only every single defender out of the equation, but forces the goalkeeper into the wrong position. Yes, he flies through the air and he gets it with his foot, and that's amazing, really amazing, actually, but without that cross being that good, the chance to score isn't there. We'll get to the second goal in a second, but there was another chance Fulham had, which is not just sort of a good Robinson cross, although it is a good Robinson cross, but shows his defensive qualities as well, because this situation develops from him reading the game, intercepting the pass into 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏. And he's very good at that. So obviously after he wins it back, he exchanges passes with 𝗕𝗏𝗏, and again, such is his drive and his quickness that it's not a case of Alexander-Arnold and Salah not tracking him. He just takes them out of the picture entirely with how much distance he puts between them. And from his crossing position, I don't think anybody would blame him if he tried to do the exact same delivery again. Get it high, get it curling, see if you can draw Alisson away from the goal line, and then give Jimenez something at the back post, because he's got that little bit of space on Virgil van Dijk. But he's not a one-trick pony. He's not just run fast, kick it hard. He gets his head up, he assesses the options, and he plays a pass that just absolutely flummoxes Liverpool. From here, if you told Arne Slot he's going to try and give this to Pereira, you'd probably be absolutely delighted because Jones is in close attendance. There's not really any sort of threat there. It's actually moving the ball backwards, but it is just perfecto. The timing of it is perfect, so he's just got the right amount of distance away from Curtis Jones to receive it cleanly. And then again, a little bit of improvisation. He lets it run through his legs, and that should probably be 2-0 Fulham. And then from there, the game's absolutely insane. It's totally frenetic. Liverpool get even more stretched as it goes on. He keeps finding himself in positions like this. He gets it in this position, and what does his brain tell him to do? It's not sort of come back in field, assess for some options, get straight to the byline, something like that. He drives directly into the box, which, and I hope it was clear for the fact I showed you the Villa and the Bournemouth ones, is not something fullbacks really look to do. They don't like being in that position. It's scary to them. And yet there he is. Every single chance he gets, he runs directly into the box. And I'll bring up the stat again. That gives him the most direct carries into the box of any defender in the league. Well, almost anyway. You're not blind. You can see that says 95 and not 99. I had a look at those numbers. Keane Lewis-Potter, who plays as a very attacking left wing back for Brentford, is top. And everybody else, isn't really a defender. They're just listed as one and they played somewhere else. So for me, it's him. And actually, I was going to show you the second goal in the Liverpool game, but you could probably do this part of the video now. If you want, Fulham turn the ball over. Here is the proximity between Antonee Robinson and Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. He gives it to Alex Iwobi. And what do you think he does? What do you think he runs to? Now, the Premier League have said they will take one of my fingers if I show match footage. You just have to trust me on this. This is not Trent Alexander-Arnold not tracking back. He is at full sprint trying to go with him here, and he just can't. Salah's already gone. Forget Salah. As soon as he turned the afterburners on, that's him out of the picture entirely. But he flies past Trent Alexander-Arnold. Not a slow player, by the way. Like, he isn't even there. But this time, it's slightly different because Alex Iwobi has all the width on the left-hand side. He's in the position where Robinson is normally told to be. Now, this could be quite confusing. This could be a little bit of a mix-up. He might try and stay a little deeper, effectively play the Iwobi role in this situation, see if he can give him a 1-2 to get to the byline and get into this position. But he doesn't do that. He just keeps running. He wants to be in that box, regardless of whether or not he's got to drive from the outside of the touchline in, or whether he can get there direct. Iwobi finds him, and then he shrugs off 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏, not a small man by any stretch of the imagination, and that's how Fulham get their second goal. But all right, okay, we've seen this kind of thing before. Like, player plays for quote-unquote smaller team in the Premier League. They've got like one thing they're really good at, in this case, running dead fast and having nice crosses. Is that all there is to him? Well, no. If you go back to that earlier chance in the Liverpool game, the one from which they did not score, I said it started with Robinson correctly intercepting the ball as it goes into Mo Salah. And just to explain this as easily as I possibly can, right? Through both his big brain and his quick legs, Antonee Robinson is probably one of the finest interceptors of a pass in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong, his tackling's good and he is strong and his defensive positioning is pretty okay, but when it comes to basically jumping out of a sort of structure into a passing lane to a point where the team can't anticipate him doing it, amazing. And that is in the numbers, by the way. If you look at his defensive stats from this season, he's making a really high number of tackles, he's winning the ball back loads. Obviously this one is dead low, his tackles in the final third, because Fulham don't really press teams all that high, so they're not really looking to win it back in that area. But the interceptions and the ball recoveries are just stunning. Just to put those numbers side by side, right? If you look at his shot and his goal-creating actions, as well as his overall defensive stats, Antonee Robinson is in the top 3%. So, like, literally the top 1 or 2 players in this entire division for both regaining the ball when it's sort of like loose in his own defensive third and creating goals for his teammates. Nobody else can say that. The ones who are good at one tend to not be so good at the other. And you know me, I simply love to oversimplify something for you, but the attacking weapon, when you boil it down for Fulham, basically ends up looking like this. You've got a winger who Robinson is marking, and they've got a full-back who is also marking Iwobi, right? And this is just John's central midfielder. Because of his pace, because of his directness, and his ability to read the play, combined with the fact that Iwobi, or whoever's on that side, likes to drift into the middle, right? If this pass here gets intercepted, by the time he's got the ball under control, he's already here. And Iwobi will be moving into this area. And if you are him, he ain't going to catch up. He's just lost the ball. You are... And it's just such an effective thing to have in your locker if you're a team, because either he's got to make sure Robinson can't get to the byline and get one of those cutbacks, so he just becomes completely locked onto him, which, if so, leaves Iwobi in the centre, and now Robinson can play the ball in there, and Fulham will have an overload somehow. Or, as is more likely, in the split second the defender will have to make this decision, he will initially get dragged out with Iwobi before deciding he should probably do something else, and by that point, he's gone. He's round the back, he's playing in those balls, and Fulham have a chance. And as a result, this is a really fantastic graph that is in a really good Opta article just about how good Antonee Robinson is. Shout out Opta, I love you guys. This is how Fulham's attacks have sort of broken down by area of the pitch. They're massively weighted down the left-hand side because right now, nobody has an answer for how to deal with him. And there are some just mind-blowing numbers about Robinson in that article, if you get a chance to read it, just about like how much of his running is done as sprinting, like how much he sprints in a game, how he's somehow doing this despite playing every single minute this season. He's on like a 40 or 50 game long consecutive selection streak. He's a really special player. Really, really special player. He's going to have a great World Cup, I think. And you will notice this video is not Antonee Robinson should move to a bigger club. I think he's great at Fulham. This system really, really, really suits him. If he was going to move, which he may well do, then you'd have to go to a team that will do something similar. And Liverpool are being linked right now, and this ain't them. This is not them. But anyway, yes, that's why Antonee Robinson is sick. And so also am I, so I'm going to go lie down. If you have enjoyed this video, please do let us know in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed the HelloFresh integration, I work really hard on those, you know. I like that brand. They send me really nice food, and then I eat it, and then I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. So if you are tempted to treat yourself this Christmas and get like a 60% off box or whatever the offer was, go and do that. Honestly, like, I know people on the internet and especially YouTube are like, hey, I actually really endorse this thing that I've actually totally never used, but I have. I like that. I use that. It's good. You'd like it. Elsewhere though, you can get me across all the social medias at Adam Clery, Clery, and you should do that. You really, really should do that, because there's a lot of fun stuff happening over on my social medias, and I think it would be of relevant interest to you, a person. My brain is starting to go. The 442 socials there in the corner of the video, and I'm not sure when this is going out. It's supposed to be that gap between Christmas and New Year, so if it is, I hope you had a lovely Christmas, but if it's gone out before that, I hope you have a lovely Christmas in the future tense. As for me though, this is the last time I can physically get into the studio at the office this year, so there'll be no fun tactical analysis or me just being delirious across the festive fixture period. And I know exactly how you feel, because I feel exactly the same way about that. But I was reminded by my family and my friends that they haven't seen me in about 18 months, so it might be nice for me to get a break. So provided that doesn't kill the channel, I'll see you next year. Until then though, that has been Antonee Robinson, the best left back in the Premier League in my opinion. This has been 442, the best YouTube channel about football on YouTube in my opinion. And I've been Adam Clery, which isn't an opinion, that's a fact. And I'll see you soon. 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏